Now, let's move on to traffic. What we can expect traffic to be like during a disaster. Now, right now, most cities are in gridlock with just normal 10 to 15% traffic. I mean, you got big cities like LA, Atlanta, New York. You'll see traffic just gridlocked. I mean, I've got a relative in Atlanta that told me that he could be going 15 miles from his house and it's nothing but a 12-minute drive, but it might take him an hour and something to get there. And to me, that's just ridiculous. But
It's
and
ridiculous.
that's in the best of times. You're talking
Right.
gridlock with 10 to 15% traffic volume. Now during an emergency, that's going to grow at least by 6 times the current amount. And I'm gonna use Tehran, Iran as an example. They showed on TV them trying to evacuate Tehran. That traffic was at a standstill, and it was like 6 or 8 lanes going straight across. Nobody was moving. And I remember a quarter-inch snowstorm that hit Atlanta one year, and people were stuck on the highway for miles. And when they ran out of gas on the highway because they didn't top off their tanks and they was riding around just a quarter of a tank or less. When they abandoned those cars became roadblocks for the cars that were behind them. And that's a problem that you're going to look at when we get into a disaster situation. You're going to have gas shortages, like the hurricanes showed in Florida. Most of the gas stations didn't have any gas. So if you didn't have extra gas at the house, I mean, you was SOL. Um, the military could use an EMP. Enemy nations could use an EMP, electromagnetic pulse weapon, on us that could shut the cars off. Accidents on the highway, uh, people running out of gas, emergency vehicles being on the highway trying to tend to people. That could stall the roads for hours or maybe even days. And that doesn't count a cyber attack where the self-driving cars, like some of the Teslas and the semi trucks that got out there, where someone cyber attacks, takes those over and uses them as ram cars to create accidents on the roads to block roads. I mean, that's going to happen. So people need to understand that. And you don't want to get caught out there when that happens. And if you do, you better have your get home bag or a bug out bag in the vehicle with you to give you something that you could drink, eat, and keep your body properly fueled and energized for the long walk that may be ahead for you. But I'm going to stop right there for now. If Steve or Sanford, you like to get in on that? Can't hear you, Steve.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
One of the things that when you talk about traffic, we see it in every movie, right? I mean, in every movie, it almost opens up with the scene of cars being left on the highway.
Mhm.
And one of the reasons why is because, especially today, like you said, there's so much road construction that's taking place, particularly, for instance, in Columbus. But wherever you go, there's a lot of road construction. So now you can compound that issue with an emergency evacuation, and you have a disaster waiting to happen. You're
Mhm.
going to definitely have road rage, which you might, be caught up in. So you definitely want to try to really avoid the highway if you can and take a side way, take a back road. And that then requires for you to have a map, not necessarily a Google map, but a literal paper map
Mhm.
that you can navigate on, because the highways are going to be one of the main thoroughfares that people are going to think of, because they're not going to think outside of the box and think of the back roads. So I wanted to just throw that in there.
Okay, Sanford.
Well, the thing I want to say about it is preparedness ahead of time. And men sometimes we have our significant others, our ladies, and we get on them about letting the gas tank get too low, or your daughter letting the gas tank get too low, and those kind of things. So I think that part of that preparedness needs to be always have at least a half tank of gas in your car. I always do that. In my bag that I keep in my car, I got snack stuff. I got some bottled water stuff. Um, even have a way if you need to access and use the bathroom off road. You need to think about that kind of stuff ahead of time. But as you were looking at the video, the guys trying to evacuate Tehran, you can't, man, when it's deadlock and gridlock traffic, you better staying in place. Sometimes you have to sit back and evaluate that and say, am I better to stay here? Because I can't get anywhere anyway. So when I'm at home, at least I know my environment. At least I know what's available to me there. So if you have to make a move, never let your gas tank get below half a tank. Always have some simple emergency things with you, with blankets and all that kind of stuff. I keep a little bitty first aid kit in my car. The simple things I think